This changes everything for the Milwaukee Bucks as a brand new report is dropped, revealing that the Bucks are among favorites to land defensive wing Herbert Jones. We're going to break down the report and discuss what it means going forward, as this could change everything for this team. Stay tuned for all that in this episode, but before we get into it, if you're a part of the 83% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Bucks content. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers. If you're enjoying the daily content, make sure to smash that subscribe button, and thank you guys for your continued support. But ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot to go over today, and Bucks are among leading contenders to acquire former Defensive Player of the Year finalist. And we know that the Bucks are talking to a lot of teams about trades, whether that's trading Marjon Beauchamp earlier on in the season to now shopping guys like Pat Connaughton, who doesn't play, Bobby Portis, who's been playing really well as of late, but might not fit into the scheme of what Doc Rivers and this team is looking for. And now we hear reports and rumors circulating surrounding Herbert Jones with the Milwaukee Bucks. And you see this here, while this is certainly exciting for the fans of the franchise, there are still places where Milwaukee can improve. Most notably, the Bucks can use help on defense. While their interior defense is one of the best in the league, the team still needs help on the perimeter. Fortunately, it looks like there is an excellent option that's reportedly in the trade market, and the Bucks have decent odds to land him, and that is, of course, Herbert Jones. And the Bucks have been playing well as of late. According to Bovada per NBA Central, Milwaukee has plus 450 odds to land New Orleans Pelicans forward Herbert Jones in a potential trade. He's one of the best defensive players in the NBA. 3 rebounds, 2 steals a game, averaging 11 points and 2 assists. He is a 3-and-D stud. Now, as you look at the player, we'll dive into his stats. We'll dive into everything, kind of deep dive him. The reason for one that the Pelicans would do this trade, I mean, they have been dealing with injuries. Zion Williamson. Now, the latest report, of course, we know Brandon Ingram is dealing with injuries, and their team has been so riddled with injuries. It might be time for them to retool, rebuild a little bit here, and ship off. You know, there was reports of them shipping off Brandon Ingram before he got traded. Now, ship off potentially Herbert Jones, who is still very young and is an elite 3-and-D wing in this league. He is an unbelievable defender, one of the best in the league. Of course, we know he's a former Defensive Player of the Year finalist, could have easily won it. And now you're looking at it, and what do the Bucks need most? They need a defensive upgrade, and Herbert Jones would immediately slide into your starting lineup here, and he would probably play instead of at this point Andre Jackson Jr. But it would help a lot. You look at some of the other favorites; they have the 4th best odds to land him. Of course, Dallas Mavericks are number 1, and that's of course because they could also use some defense. They acquired Klay Thompson. His defense has fallen off a lot. You get Herb Jones and the Mavericks team, it'd be great. Memphis Grizzlies, of course, whatever. But Milwaukee Bucks are plus 450, and among other teams that are on this list, you got to be pretty happy with the odds here if you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan. I mean, Herb Jones, it will cost a lot. We'll dive into that a little bit. But man, oh man, would Herb Jones be a really good fit for this team. And as you look at it, I don't hate those odds. And again, these are just Bovada odds, but they're among favorites to land him. And he's averaging, for a guy who's averaging 11-2, we know how good he is defensively. If you pair him alongside Dame, and you have a starting lineup of, just for sake of argument, let's say Dame, you have Giannis, of course, playing power forward. You have Brook Lopez at center. And of course, you know, at this point, you would have Herbert Jones, Chris Middleton. If you have Dame, Herb, Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez, that is an unbelievable starting 5. And what it does, the defense isn't great, aside from Giannis and Herbert Jones, but having Herb Jones be able to guard the other team's best player, it will save energy for a lot of the other guys. We know Doc Rivers is still currently rocking with Andre Jackson Jr., and that's because of his defense, because of his athleticism. But you also have guys this season that have really, broken out, specifically defensively, and of course shooting the ball. And AJ Green, you have Ajax and AJ Green off the bench. You have Gary Trent Jr. off the bench, all capable defenders here. You can really start to put together a very formidable team. And if you're unfamiliar with Herb Jones, I mean, he was great in college. He was great in the NBA. Will be a great addition to the Bucks. Milwaukee's in the top 10 for most defensive statistics, except for 3-point defense. Jones would be the perfect player to give the Bucks the perimeter boost they need. While there's no way Jones would take Giannis at the Kumalo's position at power forward, he'd be a perfect fit at small forward over Taurean Prince. Now, Taurean Prince started off the season super hot. Hasn't been playing super well as of late because of his injury, his non-COVID related illness. And ever since then, he's put up a few 0-point games, some goose eggs there. But again, and you can play big. You could have, Herb at the 3, have Herb at the 2. Doesn't really matter. Positionless basketball in this day and age. But the Milwaukee Bucks defense has been surprisingly good this year. You can see they're top 10 in most of the defensive categories, and they have a lot of good rim protectors. Brook Lopez, great rim protector. Giannis, a great defender overall. But other than that, specifically perimeter defense, it's always going to be perimeter defense that is this team's problem. And that is, of course, because you have Dame and Chris Middleton as your guards. Specifically, you have Dame as your point guard. And he's just a bad defender. He's not a good one. That's not a shot or a slight at Dame. He's capable at times to play decent defense, but as a whole, he hasn't been a good defender and hasn't been his entire career. And they knew that when they traded Drew Holiday away for ultimately Damian Lillard. That being said, if you get Jones on, like I mentioned earlier, you can improve your perimeter and three-point defense. You'd instantly have a guy who you know is the one guy on your team to lock up the opposing team's best player. Now, whether that's a guard, whether that's, LeBron James, whatever it is, you can put out Herb Jones in there and it would be phenomenal. And Taurean Prince is a great shooter, but even having him on the bench, I don't even know if they would take Taurean Prince out of the starting lineup. You could run some big lineups with Herb as your two. It'd be a really big two, but it is what it is. You're adding a defensive player of the year candidate specifically regarding perimeter defense because they have good interior defense with Giannis and Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez is still a capable rim protector, averaging probably, he's averaging over 2 blocks a game or near 2 blocks a game, I should say. And again, where the Bucks need help guarding is that perimeter, and the best solution for that is easily Jones. If he does wind up in the trade market, Milwaukee should make a move. And as you're looking into what it would take, and you look at the current team, like let's say you slot Herb Jones in Taurean Prince's spot, then you have a bench of AJ Green, Gary Trent Jr., Taurean Prince, and then you're even more capable of moving Bobby Portis away for either a center or something like that. You could also, we've seen Taurean Prince play the 4 if they're going small ball. So it opens up a lot of areas for the Milwaukee Bucks to improve. And when you're looking at a trade now, he would cost a lot. And again, he has been really good his entire career. Herb Jones has been ever since coming in, rookie of the year talks a little bit, but not really. Such a good 3-and-D player, steal the draft. And you're looking at it now from the Bucks perspective, the Pelicans would want a lot. And the Bucks don't have a lot of first-round picks. They have one they can offer. It's a 2031 first-round pick, which is very valuable to a lot of teams because who knows where Giannis will be in 2031? Who knows where this Milwaukee Bucks team will be in 2031? It could be the Milwaukee Bucks completely rebuilding, or it could be, Giannis is mid-30s at that point, and the team could have they could have a new draft pick, they could have a new version of Giannis. You really have no idea, and that's why a 2031 pick is so valuable for other teams. They also have a 2031 second-round pick. So if you offer both of those picks and then maybe one of their young players, A.J. Johnson has been tearing it up for the Wisconsin Herd. He's been looking very, very good. At least he's been looking promising. And that's, of course, their first-round pick in the mid-20s this year, and he's shined in the summer league, didn't do as well in the preseason. But A.J. Johnson in a first, is that something? Let me know down below. Obviously, you need to make salaries match and all those things. I'm aware of that. But as a structure, would you do a first-round pick and one of your top young players in your top prospects, I guess, in A.J. Johnson? It's interesting. It is very interesting. And again, you'd be really diving into the win now mode, which they're already in anyways. So I think if you get a guy like Herb Jones, it would really elevate both the floor and the ceiling for this team because of how good they have been already. They're on a roll. They're a few games over 500 now. They're really starting to work together well. They finally got Chris Middleton back in the lineup and healthy. And he's really, like I've been clamoring about the whole time, his facilitating abilities are very good. And if you add another defender into the mix, someone to help guard the perimeter, this team could be very unstoppable. So very curious to see what you think down below in the comment section. Let me know what kind of trade package you would go for Herb Jones. He's a very valuable player, so maybe I'm overvaluing him and giving up A.J. Johnson, basically 2 firsts for him would be too much. But let me know down below what your thoughts are, because there are going to be a lot of other teams like the Mavericks, like, of course, the Rockets, the Grizzlies hunting for his services. So let me know down below what your thoughts are. See you later.